How you doing there, Mr. Cardonia?
Mr. Z, I am doing good, better than I have been, so that's a plus.
Good, man. Hey, better than the last minute, better than the last day, last week. That's a good thing, man. That's what we got to do.
That's right. We just had to shake off the weather. I'm good to go.
That's good, man. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it. So, welcome everybody. It is happening right now, live on your www.computer screen. To our millions of listeners and fans out there, this is the Hospitality People Who Move, episode number 29. So we are going to be welcoming two others pretty soon. We got a good friend. Well, I am Adam Zembruski with Hospiamo, and we have John Cardonia here, building engineer and project manager, construction guy, Navy vet, uh, all around great guy. Welcome, John.
Hooah. Hello,
And
everyone.
there is my
There's
brosa,
the broski.
Matt Zembruski with Agile Game Changers. And we are expecting one other, a very special guest today. Her name is Caitlin Cooley, and she'll be dialing in very soon. Also invited a good friend to the show, Dave Waldman. So he might be chiming in. If not, we'll probably see him next week. So hello to the world. Hello, John. Hello, Broseph Matt.
Hello. I'm shaking.
Hello, Matt.
I'm liking the new headphones there. Is that working out?
Yeah, it's optional. And I chose to go with that option today because it blocks out background noise for me, allows me more focus into the two of you and our other guest. So we'll try it out. I can do it the other way without them, which I think looks a little bit more natural. But we'll check it out. We'll see what's happening. We're always experimenting on this show, right? Try something new.
That's right. Trying something new. That's I'm going to stretch the segue a little bit and say that you got the earphones on, so you won't know if something is creeping behind you, and unless you're creeping into the unknown. And what happens when you do that? And what if you're alone? Well, don't be alone. And so I had some fun with our event poster here earlier, and so this is the episode number 29, and it's called the Unknown Episode. And as entrepreneurs, as service professionals, as managers and leaders, doesn't matter what industry you're in, not knowing, entering a new environment, entering something like my brother and I have watched together and separately Lord of the Rings, probably more than any other movie. Matt has actually read those books.
Yes.
I have listened to them, but I can say, yeah.
Took me 10 years.
I can say I have the books. So it's just a great reference, movie and literary reference for what we're talking about today, about entering in that deep, dark forest, and the things that you'll learn, the friendships that are forged, trust, the ups and the downs, the wins and the losses, and going forward no matter what, just even if it's one step. And so this, let me ask you both, what do you see? Can you see the visual here, this little box here? I used Canva, right? And Canva has this cool function. So I want to give them a shout out because they've been actually, I'm not exaggerating, very influential in my creative life. Canva has been wonderful. And they have an AI tool where you, I think we've mentioned it before, you type in. So I typed into Canva, into their AI tool, that I wanted to see a visual, and I typed in a dark, snowy forest with one character. And this is what came up. Now, this is what came up, but I added 5 other things to it. And the message I was trying to get visually. And so also I added this little compass up here. So what do you see? Maybe John and Matt, just chime in. What do you see here?
I see a butterfly, a clown, a map, And let me ask you a question, Mark.
Do you see anything here?
Those are the first 4 that I saw too. The butterfly was the first one.
Other than the person walking the path.
Is there like another? There's like another, like a lion face.
Yeah,
or
there you
something
go.
in the back left, right?
Yeah, very, very secret and
Really?
mysterious
I was
lion.
looking for something over there. I figured you're gonna be symmetrical because my bro likes to be
I
symmetrical.
don't even see that.
You gotta like look between the trees. Put your flashlight in there a little bit, and and you can see the hairy face of the looks like a lion.
So the yeah,
Okay, all right, there it is, all the way in the background. Yeah, nice.
didn't know you were going to be quizzed today. And here is Caitlin Cooley. All right.
Hey, Caitlin.
Caitlin, I think you're on mute.
I am. Yeah. Hi.
No longer.
How's it going?
It's going
Great.
good.
Great.
Thank you and welcome.
Thank you.
Introducing you to my brother Matt with Agile Game Changers here, and John Cardonia. You guys, I had a chat with Caitlin earlier today, and I was talking all about you guys and about our show and about working together with Caitlin. And Caitlin, I've known for quite a few years. We met in New Orleans at a hotel project where she is based, down in the Bayou. And it's another area where they prefer you to talk a certain way, or they know that you're not from there if you talk a certain way. And so
That's true.
I was reminded of that the first time that I visited down there, and there's a lot of cool speak there. So we are Caitlin. We're talking about going into the deep dark forest of uncertainty, and in our lives, and also our businesses, and it's the unknown episode. And so I will we were going through this, and where I was sending in little messages here where it's kind of scary. There's a little scary clown up here. There's could potentially be a little lion sneaking behind the forest. There's the butterfly represents something beautiful, right? It might be something that you're searching for, something that you may or may not be able to see or grasp onto. And so the idea is the question mark is just like you don't know what's going on. You got the roadmap here that you're trying to, or the treasure map, you're trying to figure your way in. And so last thing I'll mention about this visual is, and Caitlin, I made this using Canva's AI.
Oh, great.
Love that. We were just talking about AI and stuff too. So the only thing that I'll say about this is that this person is alone, right? And I did that on purpose because it is absolutely all these realities and anxieties that come up. This is my opinion now. So that come up with going into something new, going into something unknown. These clown faces, these scary clowns and the lions, they're the ones that are like right in front of you that you have trouble removing or keeping from your mind in search for this beautiful butterfly, right? And so, but if you do have other people with you, I think they start to fade away, right? And then you could start to know that, like, hey, I can lean on this person, and whether that's a business coach or a colleague or someone like a mentor, or even someone that you just hired that's new and fresh that you're looking to partner with or do business with. And I just thought it was a pretty cool thing to visualize what we're talking about here today. So I will say, Caitlin, this is your first time on your show. Welcome and thank you. You're part of the team. This is episode number 29, and we are all about diversity and inclusion and things like that. But you know what has formed here after 29 or so episodes is the fact that our network and these the people who move, that we recognize that are doing special things, that are moving forward every day. It's kind of exclusive because we have attracted some really cool, amazing people that are doing spectacular things, and these are just very normal, regular people, right? And they've just chosen to go a little bit more of into the forest of the unknown a little bit. And so you started a new company recently called Conclave Collective. Conclave
Yeah.
Creative. Yeah. Which is also your initials. I'm sure that was a
Yeah.
little bit of a sneak. All right. Okay.
It was. Yeah.
You are going into a new venture. Can you tell the world and our millions of listeners here about what you have going on, and then we'll maybe get into some of these real fears that we all have about starting something new. So tell us about Conclave Creative.
Yeah. So, I mean, I've been working in hotels since I was 19, kind of in all the different realms. But more recently, more recently, when I say more recently, I mean the past decade, it's been, mostly focused on sales and marketing. I actually got laid off a while ago and decided, I'd been thinking about doing something of my own for a really long time, knowing, when you've worked in hotels for that long, a lot of people and you can see a need for things. And so I thought no better time than now to do it. With hotels, people wear all the hats, regardless of their position. And so currently I'm kind of offering basically everything involved with marketing a hotel. So that can go everything from, collateral creation, website management, pretty much anything involved with marketing, I like to tackle. So until I get more niche, if I decide to go that route, kind of just one-stop shop for any hotel marketing needs right now.
That's really great. And my experience with Caitlin was a few months before COVID hit, right? I still remember, like, word for word, when I first met you, Caitlin. We were up in your office and you were showing me your social media statistics and what you were how Instagram how you were watching the Instagram posts and the impressions and the likes and followers. And I loved you were my first experience in seeing somebody that is massively creative, but also massively responsible enough to see what those creations are doing or working or not working. Right. And so it's a great combo for you. And I think that's why I've always been, you've been on my mind about that. Cause it's a common frustration a little bit when somebody says, this is what we're going to do next year. And then you don't talk about it for another year. It's like,
Yeah.
what, did you do it or not? I mean, that's okay.
Yeah.
But like, it's fun in the tracking. Matt and I did an episode, maybe John, you were there too, but it was with the gamification of performance and statistics and just keeping track of it. It could be so much fun. And so
Yeah, definitely.
you had a lot of fun. I mean, you had created new brands at that hotel that you were at, and new names, and you're a great storyteller. So I wish you the best of luck in this new
Thanks.
venture. And so
Thanks.
you
Yeah,
mentioned
that's
earlier in a
cool.
conversation that you had written a blog post about your new experience, and it's kind of like on topic, a bit of like
Yeah.
the fears and things like that. What was that
Mhm.
blog topic about? What did you write about?
Well, essentially it was, when I first decided to start the company, of course I told a few of my close colleagues that I was doing it and to, kind of keep their ear out for any opportunities or things like that. And, I thought, I have so many connections from all my years, that, like, of course I'm just going to reach out to them. It's going to be no problem, super easy, great. So, I went through the whole process of like getting my business license and doing all like the admin kind of things. And then when it came down to like, okay, now let's do this. Like I have everything in order. I'm ready to go. Time to start like reaching out to people. And I absolutely froze, and was like kind of coming up with like, well, maybe I need a branding deck. I should probably do a branding deck for the company. Like, yeah, okay, let's do that. So I kind of like was doing things that were like fun, but also like total avoiding doing the actual job that I had set out to do. And then I kind of had a moment of panic where I was like, oh, I'm not going to get a paycheck unless I make that happen. So it just felt really scary and overwhelming to reach out to people saying that I had gone out on my own and that was doing something of my own, even though I've been doing this for so long, so many years. I know what I'm doing. And like, what did I think people, how did I think people were going to respond? Like, Caitlin, you're an idiot. This is a terrible idea. Of course, they're not going to say that. If they think that, they're not going to say it. They're just not going to respond. And that's fine. So I panicked and sent out a bazillion messages on LinkedIn and a ton of emails. And of course, it was all so positive. And I was just like, why was I so scared of this? This is ridiculous. And, I think if I would have just sat down for a second and thought like, okay, what's worst case scenario that can happen if I do this? I would have thought somebody might send me a mean message, like big deal, and of course, again, that didn't happen, but that's literally the worst case scenario. So I really made a big deal out of it, and it turned out great. So
no, that's good. And
unnecessary
I see my brother's head going up and down the way that mine is, because I tell you, I spent about I don't know, a week just thinking about my logo, like, when I first got started, it's like, I mean, it doesn't even exist anymore. It was like all of that, because it was fun, right? I was like kind of going through the different, like, oh, I can do this, little symbols, and next thing you know, I'm like in this wormhole of creativity, and I'm all alone, like doing this thing and not even telling anybody what I'm up to, right? And so, because it was fun and interesting.
Invoice. And that's when I was like, well, crap, I need somebody to invoice. That's great that I've created this and it was fun, but oh man, now I need to like send this to somebody. Like,
who am I going to send my invoice to? I'm not making money yet. Yeah,
exactly. Like I can't send myself an invoice for the creation of all this. Holy moly. So yeah.
That's good. Matt and John, any comments there about your experiences going into something new and starting something new, or leaving something old? All of our heads, by the way, because I know these guys, Caitlin, we've all been laid off. We've all been fired. We've all lost something that we thought was like awesome, and then it just goes away. Sometimes it's being taken away from us. Sometimes it's just not the right fit or whatever, for whatever reason. So, Matt, Matt's been have some waves in his life, ups and downs and things like that. New companies, old companies. So, you probably have some thoughts on that?
I'll share. I think about this a lot of times, Caitlin. I advise entrepreneurs too, and I have my own company and do a lot of corporate consulting, do lots of stuff. But about a little over a decade ago, our mom, for me and my brother, made a lot of amazing food throughout our lives. But one thing she made, which like rocked my world, was this energy bar. She took some old recipe and then made it healthy and fresh and new. And it became my go-to breakfast food. I was like, all right, I want to take this to market. I'm going to start a company. I want to do this. So I started rolling, and there's a lot to go, like to take mom's recipe and then, bring it into some product, right? There's a lot of steps there. I got really caught up in the steps of the recipe. Well, what if I tweak the recipe like this and that and this and that? And then eventually, after months of doing this, and I connected with a registered dietitian and another woman who used to work at Whole Foods. She was going to help me bake them and do all this stuff. I was doing all this prep stuff, but then I talked to somebody who I was working out with, and they said, well, I want to try some. I said, we have 3 different versions of the flavors right now. I'm not sure which one's going to be. They said, well, why don't you bring them into the fitness facility here and let a few of us try them, and we'll give you some feedback. And then my agile hat, I do a lot of agile consulting, which is responding to change, right? As an agile coach, how can you help people and companies and organizations better respond to change? I said, wow, I totally left out the feedback loop. I've been working in a vacuum on my own because I'm procrastinating, because I'm afraid of what could happen. What if they don't like it? All the same things you said, all these fears that we all have, the fear of the unknown. And then I realized, I was like, wow, I really got to get to the market and start sampling what I'm creating. It doesn't matter if it's ready for the market or not yet, but I got to start sampling it so I can get feedback and then adjust based on the feedback. And so I started doing that, and I went to it was a women's weekend conference with all women. Me and the videographer were the only 2 men there. And it was a perfect opening to getting a lot of feedback. And that was the first time I went down. I was so nervous. I had 2 different versions of my bar and all these things. But that was the most eye-opening moment of my entrepreneurial career, to get feedback real time from a whole bunch of people in one day. And then since that point, I always think okay, do I really need to do this task, or should I be taking whatever I have and putting it in the market and seeing what the market has to say about it? Maybe they like it, maybe they don't. So that for me was my thing. Like you said, like, why am I branding my invoice when I don't even have anybody to invoice? It's right. There's only so far you need to go as an entrepreneur. And in the agile world that I do now, we take like, software teams or marketing teams or whatever who are used to these big projects, 6 months, 8 months, a year. And they're used to, oh, we have to do all this stuff. And then when we're done, which is a year from now. We're like, no, what if you had to deliver something in 2 weeks? What would you deliver to your customer to start to get feedback? Like, hey, here's the first button of the shirt that we're going to make for you. This is the button. We made the button this week because we want to see if you like the button. Oh, no, I don't like that button. All right, let's change that before we make the shirt around it, whatever. It's sort of a silly example, but the point is if you give yourself a time frame, like what if I had to deliver something to somebody today, like you? What if I had to deliver my service to somebody today? Who's the one person who I would love to deliver service to? All right, let me reach out to them and say, by the way, I'm in business now. I have this offering. Would you be interested? Boom. And now you've done that. You're like, okay, I can go ask 10 more people and find one who's going to say yes and do that. But until you do that, you're not making money. You're not in business. You're just in your head. And so that's my little story of getting out of your fear mind and just playing with the market. It's so important.
Yeah,
Touch the market. If you're not touching the market, you're in a vacuum. You need to touch people, feedback.
One thing you mentioned in there, Matt, was my hesitancy to set deadlines for myself over those years. And like you said, like if I had to do it, like when Caitlin said, like, can you, send me an invoice for something? Like, I don't have an invoice, but oh my God, I just sold something. Nice. And like, now I have to go make it or do it. Or, like if you had your 3 different kinds of, natural bar, then, maybe you didn't already make the second or third, you just have one. And it becomes a challenge if someone says, boom, give it to me.
Yeah.
And so, the feedback is scary. John, you got your head nodding a little bit. What's
Man, I've tripped, I've fallen, I've picked myself up and fall back down again, and each time I learn something a little bit better. I think probably the greatest thing, and I know I've talked to you about this before, was being with the JCs, and one of the tasks being with the JCs is public speaking. And
talk about what the JCs are, John? Dan, I know that you've got a lot of experience with them.
JCs is a nonprofit organization that helps young men and women reach their potential from all walks of life. It doesn't matter who you are, what you've done, what you have not done. It brings out the best in you. We've had people who have had alcohol problems, drug problems, relationship problems, financial problems. And it shows that no matter what walk of life you come from, anything is possible with the help of a team and the right people. We've had people come in who have been so down on their luck that they never thought that anything could ever be possible. But that one moment that they helped somebody or a family out that was struggling, and they're watching this and they're reading this and they're saying, oh my God, there's people worse than I that have it worse than I. And the positive transformation that happens in that split moment to them is miraculous. I was with them for 5 years, and just watching people come into the organization and leave, just watching how they transform and what they've done. We had one guy who thought he never could start his own business. The guy is huge in steel construction right now. He lost everything. He lost his wife, lost his kids, drinking got involved, and he lost everything. He never thought he could ever see himself again. I saw him about 8 years ago, and I mentioned to him, I said, hey, I still carry some of those values with me that I learned from all of you, regardless of what walk of life you are. And he said, I can't believe that. I kind of forgot a lot of this stuff. And I said, no, you can't. You cannot forget where you fell and how you picked yourself up. It's your roots, basically, and that's what you've got to do. So with that, that's a little bit of what they did. We helped with Easter egg hunts, fireworks, parades, anything that we could do. Habitat for Humanity. It was an awesome time in my life. But back to public speaking, they go, "Hey, you can do it." I said, "No, I cannot stand in front of people and talk. You can talk to anybody." I said, "Yeah, I can sit here in a club and I can talk to you all night long, but I don't know those people. It's never gonna happen." And they gave you a topic. You had to write a speech. You had to memorize that speech, and then you had to get in front of people and tell that speech. And you want to talk? Let me tell you, looking at people
So
in
you
their
had a
underwear,
deadline, right? You had like a certain date and
you
time
had
that
like
you
a
were supposed
minute
to
and
do
a
it.
half deadline. Looking at people in underwear, yeah, that don't work. Yeah, no, it does not. But I failed so many times. I mean, you have it in your head. You know you're going to do it. You're going to get up there, and it's like, ah, ah. There's no music in the background. You can't fake it. It's just you. But with the help of everybody and doing it, it progressed, and finally I won first place. And then after that, not only did I win it for the chapter, I won it for the whole region. Then it went for all of Florida, the state of Florida. And yeah, so I mean, it really opened me up to be able to speak to people, and not only speak but to listen and be able to comment on that. So that was walking into the weeds and walking into the dark abyss, and it pulled things out of me that I just didn't think I had.
I brought up that picture again. It's like if this here was the beginning of that forest, like when
Yeah,
somebody said like, "Hey, do public speaking," right? And you were like, "Yeah, right. No
yeah,
way, dude." And then, but you did it, right? And I can imagine the anxiety, the fear, your
oh,
heart racing, sweating, and there's people looking at you, and you got lights on you, and then all
yeah.
of a sudden you're supposed to memorize something, and you got blank, you got nothing going on,
That's it.
and
You're just standing there. Yeah,
but that's at
I
the
mean,
maybe at the entrance to the forest, right? And it's and just go, and now you're still talking about it, right?
yeah,
And all
yeah,
the beauty, the butterfly or whatever, you're still searching for it, and you're still reaching out to grab it, and so. I
absolutely.
love this topic. It's just a great topic, and for bringing it back to the hotel industry, right? So everyone's in the hotel industry. I mean, I think everyone stayed in a hotel. You can be a part of it. You're a guest. You're a supervisor or a worker. You're marketing. You're selling, or you're serving somebody, and you're leading teams. And so um, there are. Certain I'm going to bring up like personality types, right? So there's certain personalities, right? And I want to ask you guys your opinions on this. So let's just talk about extroverts and introverts for a minute, right? So um, I have taken a lot of personality tests, right? I just love it. Our Matt and I, our dad, like he was doing Myers Briggs back when we were probably 2 years old, and trying to like, who are you?
Yeah.
um, and so in the world of extroversion and introversion, I've actually, I mean, you guys know that I'm an extrovert, but I younger years I was like probably massively extroverted, right? And but then I have become more moderate, still an extrovert, but still a little bit more moderate, right? Um, and so I think that extroversion, right, being probably goes. It's made me a little bit more comfortable with risk. Sometimes I know there's pros and cons to all that, but trying different things, trying new things. Um, but I do think about like, what if somebody is more introverted? I don't think that necessarily means that they're more scared than I was in order to go do something. It doesn't mean that they're less equipped, but I'm fascinated by that conversation and the dialogue around different kinds of people and how they approach the unknown, for example, right? So, do you guys have any thoughts that popped in your brain there about the different type of people and how they approach the unknown?
I think absolutely, Adam. You and I both touched on this up in Boone when we met Elijah. Elijah was talkative, but very, very secluded talkative. And I stayed up there. Adam and I helped open up a hotel up there, and I stayed up there for a month and a half. And I would talk to this gentleman, and it would just be me talking with a yes or no. Yeah, okay, yep, that works. Yep, okay, I understand. Yep, okay. By the time I left, with help of Adam and everybody else around him, by the time we left, he was a chatterbox. He just knew everything he wanted to do, how to do it, and I just think he had been alone for so long in the environment that he was in that he enjoyed that camaraderie, and it brought it out of him, and that was great, to see a introvert come out. It was nice because he's got unbelievable skills, and to be able to talk about it and talk about himself was wonderful to see.
That's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. It's the power of collaboration. It's the power of a mentor. I mean, you not literally, but you reached out and grabbed him, right? And let's do this. Let's talk about this. And you brought out some really awesomeness in him that maybe he didn't know he had. Maybe he did, and he was just waiting for that opportunity to do that. That's good, man. Thanks for sharing that. Yeah, a lot of learning for myself too up in Boone, North Carolina, and I'll mention Boone again. I mention them a lot. I mean, it's a beautiful place. We just 2 episodes ago had David Jackson and James Milner, 2 leaders up in Boone, and we were talking about community development, economic development, and what that means, and what is the responsibility of somebody that is doing business in a community as it relates to contributing to that community, right? And that example of what you just shared, John, you were contributing, you were engaging. You weren't just taking. You know what I mean? Like you weren't just paid to do a job. You went, you left, and we're still talking about it. And it has to do with that engagement piece. So, Caitlin, Matt, any comments on that? Different types of people and how they approach things? Yeah.
It's kind of honestly a mystery to me how, like, I'm really extroverted. I'm probably an oversharer. And I think, starting this business or anytime I'm like coming up against something that I have questions about or like have fears about, I'm talking to everybody about it and getting people's opinions. And we talked about this earlier, like I have my little garage office and I was like literally asking ChatGPT things when I didn't have other people around me because I need that feedback and that like inspiration and or sometimes to like reel me in or to pump me up and stuff like that. And so I don't know where I would get that motivation if I didn't have it from outside sources. And so that's something that's interesting to me to think about is if I were an introvert, where would I be getting my inspiration from? Because I currently get my inspiration from those around me, cheering me on or telling me things are a bad idea or, really, I get a lot of feedback from people. So that's an interesting thought to think, like, if somebody's more introverted, where are they getting their inspiration or their ideas, things like that.
That's cool.
Let's, you want to take a quick, I got something open on my screen here, and let's do something fun because we are talking about AI and we're talking about ChatGPT. And so I thought if we did head down that road, I had something I was thinking about doing. So I am going to share my screen.
I'm going to participate and then hop off, bro, because I have another commitment.
You got to hop off?
And
oh, man, we're about to go talk to Chatty G.
Well, let's go do the fun thing, and then I'll hop off in a couple minutes. I'll be a few minutes late for that.
Okay, all right.
This is more important.
So I'm going to bring up Chatty G here. My brother and I. So Matt has been. He was the one that texted me. I don't know, maybe a year ago, and said, "Dude, have you tried ChatGPT yet?" And because he knows that I am a just my brain can get full of stuff and words, and I can just literally go move up into the cloud and live there and be all alone and tell my stories until, and so we nicknamed ChatGPT Chatty G, and
I love that.
I have had
I will be
wonderful
using that.
conversations as an extrovert, right? I've actually I think he's a friend, or maybe it's a her. I don't know.
I thank you to it, just in case.
I'm gonna let me ask a question, and then maybe you guys can ask a question too. So because we are, I think, all somewhat of extroverts here. So I am an introvert. Please act maybe as a career. No, please act as a executive coach, and recommend how I should get over my fears to start my own business. How's that sound?
How over there? You just need a space on the how. You go like your letters.
Howl.
How. Wolf.
I should overcome my fears. All right, let's see what happens.
All right, babe, do you want anything at CVS?
Oh, heck, let's write a book here.
Right.
Chatty G's being a little chatty today. So anyone that's not familiar with ChatGPT, it's automatically generated artificial intelligence, right? Sometimes if I type in a question and it's about a specific company or something, it'll say we're thinking and we're going through these different websites, and so it grabs and it learns. And so I, as an example, I spent a couple hours saying, do you know who Adam Zembruski is? Right. And it said, yes, we've been talking, and these are the things that I know about you. Right. And so, okay, I need help writing a professional biography or a bio, for an introduction on my website, I think, or something like that. Can you tell me 10 questions? Ask me 10 questions to help you get to know me. And so I just answered the questions, right? And then shortly after that, beautiful bio came up, right? And it was wonderfully written. And then I edited it, added it to the website. And so anyways, I'm not here selling anything on ChatGPT, believe me. I think they're doing just fine financially. But if anyone's wondering, just check it out. And that's what Matt said originally. He goes, just check it out. Just start learning about it. And so, anyway, so ChatGPT said it can be uniquely challenging as an introvert, but equally rewarding. Leverage your strengths. Okay, introverts are often good listeners, deep thinkers. Okay, start small. You don't need to launch with a big event or a large team. Okay, so as an extrovert, I probably think like, oh, I gotta go big, or I can go big, and I want to go big. But they're saying that you don't have to do that, and create a comfortable environment for yourself. Design your workspace. If I panned my camera around here, yeah, I'm still, after about 10 years, still working on that, designing my workspace. Network on your own terms. Okay, good. But it doesn't have to be daunting. Do it on your own terms, making maybe more intimate networking events. That's probably a really important one. Mm-hmm. Prepare and practice. You have to do a lot of practicing, so that reduces anxiety, right? Just like public speaking, John. Set boundaries for yourself. It's essential to know your limits and boundaries accordingly. seek supportive partnerships. That's good, right? John, you just brought up that other example with Elijah. Embrace online tools for marketing and communication. So if somebody is an introvert, it sounds like they might not feel as comfortable speaking on a podcast or something like this, right? And so utilize some tools, probably like ChatGPT, maybe. So embrace online tools, mindfulness and self-care. Take care of yourself, like meditation, reading, or spending time in nature. Seek professional advice. For other, look for other introverted entrepreneurs and how they can offer you some advice and support. So that was fun. I'll remove that and go to our big four here. So I love stuff like that, and it's very different than Googling it, right? And it's conversational, and I really like that. And so what we're doing here together, what I'm recognizing is we're using emotional intelligence and empathy, and not assuming that, one, we're saying this is difficult for anybody going into something new. It might be more difficult for someone that's more introverted. It might be more difficult for someone that is more private. I will tell you that it's more difficult for me. Forget about extroversion. I'm a natural. I guess I'm generous, like with my intellectual property, my thoughts, just like you were saying, Caitlin, with my ideas, and I'm kind of like, blah. This is what I think. Sometimes that kind of came back in my life and career, mostly in the career side, to come back and bite me, right? So that made me a little bit more private with my stuff, right? And I didn't really want to share it. And so thank you to my bro that I've mentioned many times on this podcast, that Matt was like, let's just do this podcast thing. Let's just start it and just start sharing, start getting it out there. And if somebody wants to steal one of your ideas, then just, they're not going to do it as good as you anyway. So just, make that dish, make that recipe, and make it happen. So yeah, that's that's something that's also challenging. So empathy, right? Thinking about people that are not like us, like me. It's got to be difficult for an introvert. And so let me segue that into another topic, similar topic, which is, if somebody is looking for a job, maybe starting a company, whatever it might be, and they're extroverted and introverted, how does one know if a certain company that you're looking to do business with or get hired by is going to be accepting and having empathy for my unique nature of, let's just say, introversion? If I'm an introvert, how is there research or due diligence that one can do to be like, hey, I wonder if this is going to be a good environment for me because I'm me, and I'm seeing that there's a lot of people on TV at that company, or they're doing a lot of extroverted type stuff, but maybe that's not really what the culture of the company is. So do you guys have any ideas of how you can find out if a certain company is going to be embracing your unique personality types? How do you find that out instead of getting a job and just starting there and then finding out later?
I'll share a thought, bro, and then I'm gonna hop. But my thought is, very, very important question, really important for everybody to consider, especially if you're in a career search. My son, your nephew, who's 21, he's graduating college soon, is in the middle of a job search right now. Graduates as an engineer, so he's looking at a lot of companies right now, and some of the companies that look great from the outside may not be great from the inside. They may be tough to interview at, tough to get job offers, all this stuff. But what I do to answer your question is I say, okay, let's talk to some people through LinkedIn who already work there or who used to work there, and let's find out about the culture. And if you ask 10 people, 5 or 6 people are going to get back to you, and they're going to give you something honest because it's off the record. It's just a private conversation you're having, but you're going to find out. We found out one of the companies he was excited about, doesn't really have a great cultural reputation based on the feedback we got from individuals who had worked there. So then Michael also went out, it's my son's name. He also went out onto the website. I don't know if it's Glassdoor or one of them, one of the websites where they have a lot of reputational information. And he says, wow, that company got terrible reviews on there too. Okay, well, those reviews are validating what we learned from talking with people directly on LinkedIn. All right, that one's off my list now. Now we can focus on ones that might be better, because as you're saying, and I've asked people in podcasts, how do you find out good cultural fit? And it's a lot like dating. Like, you don't really know. No, you got to be there. It's like, be there, spend time together, interview, another interview. And the more you can talk to people, and our dad told us this all the time, bro, you probably remember this, informational interviews is what he called them. You know, interview people who are already at that company and say, hey, I might want to be in this role at that company. What is it like? What's it like over there? Do you guys like have fun lunches? Do you do things? What's the culture like? And then because that's really, really important. It's hard to get that answer just from AI or from the media or from whatever, but you got to go back human to human, old school, and say, what is the culture like there? Because if it's a good cultural fit, you're going to love it, right? But if it's not, and it looks good on the outside, and you get a great offer with good money, you're not going to like it at all, and you're going to want to get out of there. And it can be abrasive, right, to your personality, to your life. You may not sleep well.
Yeah.
So,
and if it doesn't go well, then like you might have like a black eye on your resume. Like, oh, what'd you do wrong? You couldn't make it at that company?
yeah, you're right.
Wasn't a good
There's a lot of ways.
I just had that the other day. I was looking at a company, and then I searched LinkedIn, and I contacted a guy. I didn't expect to connect, but he connected back. And I said, hey, I'm looking to interview with this company. I'm looking at this position. Can you let me know what the matrix of the company is about, etc.? The reply was, well, I don't understand what you mean by matrix. Good luck. And I said, well, you know what? If that's the answer I got from somebody who's worked there for 2 years, see ya.
Yeah. You got your answer.
That's funny. That's it reminds me of me being in high school. We used to make up words just to see if people were listening to us. And one of them is Fearnins, and Gabe, my son Gabe, uses that word because it's like you throw Fearnins into the conversation. They're like, oh yeah, the Fearnins. That's a really good concept. I just read a book about that. Yeah, I know all about that.
That's funny.
And John, you did it. You did. You went into the matrix there.
Yeah. I mean that was. I was like, wow. Okay. Great.
Matt, you might have to go, but I'm going to touch on what you're out.
Yeah, I'm gonna hop. But Caitlin, great to meet you. Can't wait.
Yeah,
Love
you
your
too.
website. I took a look at it earlier.
Oh, thanks.
To connect more.
Great. Yeah, you too.
Take care, Matt.
Thank you all.
So Matt just brought up the the informational interviews and also using LinkedIn. And I'm going to add another layer to that, and it's similar to what we've been talking about, and that is somebody other than you helping you do that on your behalf. And so here's an example. And John and I have a good relationship like this. And so if Bob is my friend, and Bob is looking to go work at ABC Corporation, let's say it's a hotel company, and it's a job that he can do, and he's very excited about it. And he's wondering, I wonder if that'll be a good cultural fit for me. He could go the route of going direct to people that work for ABC company via LinkedIn. He can go to Glassdoor. You can do your research. I agree with what Matt said. Whatever's on the website is not going to tell you the reality of their culture. They're going to tell you all these things that they may do, but they may not, right? These are some promises. And so one thing that I can do as Bob's friend is I can make a post on LinkedIn, because if I have nothing to do with this ABC company, but yet I'm in the industry, I can make a post on LinkedIn saying, I have a friend that's curious about ABC company, and I could do the @ symbol on LinkedIn. If you work there or have worked there in the past, please, send me a message. I would love to talk to you on behalf of my friend. That way it's incognito for my friend. He's not like, maybe he's introverted, right? So maybe he doesn't want to do all that on LinkedIn. But I would say that, John, that's very similar to what you did with Elijah. You reached out and you asked questions and you got engagement, and then it turned into something really beautiful. And so that popped in my head. Do you guys have you done that before? Have you gotten some background information that you're very happy that you got before, like, engaging with a company or something?
Yeah, well, just today actually, and I have a girlfriend that's interviewing for a new position at a property, and she's looking for a better cultural fit and everything. And she had an interview, and in the interview they were saying, well, the owner can be a little bit difficult. And so she called me up and we were talking about it today, and she thought, I think. So they said, she was kind of like, if they're telling me this, well, up front, what else is like kind of hiding below? Like if they're already telling me that. So I think also, like, when you're having an interview, kind of picking up on those smaller cues like that might not be as direct, but if they're saying, well, just picking up on little things like that, I think is also something that, you can do. Yeah, because a lot of times you're nervous, like it's them interviewing you, although, you're interviewing them also, but, you're the one trying to get the job. So I can get kind of tunnel vision in those sorts of situations and really I probably wouldn't have picked up on that. When she said that, I was like, that's a really good call. Like, you're right. If they're already saying that, then there's probably a lot more deeper problems that they aren't mentioning, because they don't want to air all their dirty.
Because what do they mean by difficult? Like,
Exactly.
some people say, like, the owner's kind of interesting.
Sure. Yeah. He's unique, eccentric.
I've had interviews like that where the interviewer is downsizing the company and then flips it around. It's almost like they say something and they went, oh crap, I didn't mean to say that. So now let me hurry up and try to fish some words back out to make it sound positive. Yeah. And all you hear is the negative. Well, you said it. If you didn't mean to say it, you wouldn't have said it. So thank you.
Yeah.
Like, give that guy a tip.
Yeah. And I think, like, I've definitely not been good at that. And like you said, it's like the dating thing where it's like, basically we had one date, I moved in and was like, oh no, it seemed like a great first date, but now I'm seeing like how you keep your house and it's a nightmare. And like, this was not a good fit. Like, what have I done? And so I definitely have learned my lesson with going into companies that just don't, because I think too, some people haven't had the luck to have worked with a really great cultural, company. And that was one of my first jobs that I was with for 12 years. And so I thought that was just how they all were. And then it was a rude awakening when I got somewhere that was not at all a good fit. And it was just like, oh, I really should have appreciated this. And now, I'll look out for this.
If I'll say this about, I'm going back into my career, and if I was a young up and comer, ambitious, another topic on our show is come up a couple times, particularly with our friend John St. Omer. He's a general manager, best I ever worked with, and an amazing friend. Shout out to John. Hopefully he'll come back on. He's up in Philadelphia. So John always points out, and he always reminds me that you can learn from people that of what not to do. You can learn what not to do at an organization. And I would say early in a career, maybe in your 20s or something like that, it's okay to go work for someone that might not be a good fit. That doesn't mean that I would not want to discourage anyone from giving it a shot, based on what your gut might say, because even if your gut is saying that it might not be a good long-term fit, you might be able to get as much learning and education, and think about the potential of working with somebody that is amazing, that you become friends with for a lifetime at a company that sucks.
Yeah. You're trauma bonded.
You're trauma bonded. I like that. Yeah. That's very real. And I would tell you that I think we all know people, and that we probably have most of our friends in this industry that possibly are trauma bonded to. With all due respect to our millions of fans out there, so yeah, that's very real. And so now later in the career, or maybe phase 2 or phase 3, that's when the mentor can step in and say to your friend, and maybe you still kind of go on and make mistakes. Of course, we all do, but this is where we kind of share knowledge, and it's not to make anybody look bad, but I think that is where the collaboration comes in, and I have had to learn, particularly in the last 5 or 6 years, humility and being comfortable, being vulnerable, and in saying I don't know the answers, right? And ask for some help. Be like, hey, I don't really know how to do this, but even though on my resume it says I do, but I I need to really get good at it because I really want this job, or I want to go work with this person, or whatever it might be. So that's the overall theme of what this is, what are People Who Move podcast that's had 10 different names. And, we're not, we're not out there. It's more like a talk show. I got I don't know if you can see Conan O'Brien back there with his big head. There he is on Rolling Stone. I met him, and when in his first year, I was working at Foxwoods Casino, and he came in during his first year. Man, he's like 6'6" or whatever. He's a big guy. And I told him that I said I would love to do what you do, talk show and stuff like that. And he goes, "Why aren't you already doing it?" I'll never forget it. He goes, "Why aren't you doing it?" I said, "I don't know. I don't have any money. Like, I'm just working here." He goes, you know what a tape recorder is?" And I said, "Yes." He goes, "Then start recording conversations, man. And he said, if I meet you again, I want to make sure that you've done it," or something like that. I've never met him again. So it's that same thing, the same topic of doing things that you are not comfortable doing, into the unknown. And I never did it. I never did what he said to do. I never until May 25th, our first episode. It was my brother and our mom's birthday. So yeah, there's something beautiful in the unknown, and what am I trying to articulate here? There's something beautiful in not knowing even what you're looking for. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because if you don't put parameters on it, it's limitless. So it's if you're saying like this is exactly what it's going to be, then you're kind of putting yourself in a box when you don't need to. Like that's kind of what I was saying about my business right now, where I'm just kind of going to throw everything at the wall. And if a couple years from now it turns out that I only do social media because that's where the need was, then that's fine. Or if, for some reason I start doing marketing for something other than hotels and I don't even do hotels anymore, like I don't want to put the parameters on it because you never know where it's going to go or where it's going to lead you. And just being open to that makes it so that there's a lot more doors to be opened as opposed to just the few that you have in your head that's where you need to go or whatever.
That's good. More doors. Mm-hmm. Keep them open, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. John, any nuggets of wisdom?
Jeez, I got no wisdom, man. It just went out the door. No, I agree. And we've known each other for 12 years. The ups and downs that I faced. I think I'm a type of person that wants to know more. I want to look outside the box. I want to go down the street and see what's going to happen next week. I want it all. I just want to be full of knowledge. I started off in the industry as a chief engineer. I was 6 months into it. I was pushed as a project manager. I was like, oh my God, man, I don't know. I loved it, and I didn't think I would, but I loved it. I wanted more of that. And throughout my career, I wanted to learn more and more about the industry. I became involved with housekeeping. I became involved with the kitchen. I became involved with asset management and finally procurement management for hotels, and learning all this. And people will look at it and go, well, you're just an engineer. What do you know? Well, yeah, you're right. I was just a director of engineering, but I see what goes on behind the walls. I see what happens. I see the guests walking in. I see the atmosphere at the front desk. I know the matrix. Again, there's that word of the industry. I see it, and I've lived it, and I want to learn more about it. And that's the way I've been going through on. Is you should never stop at one thing that you're satisfied with. And Caitlin, you're a perfect example. You pushed yourself into something that you've always wanted to do, and kudos to you. And I wish you all the best doing that. But I mean, that's what it's about. If you just get, I know people who just stay in one position and they become acclimated, I guess, is that the right word, I guess, to use, and say, yeah, you know what, I'm happy just doing this. Yeah, I could do more, but So there's my 2 cents, my words of wisdom.
Yeah, no, it's you're curious and naturally curious. Your intellectual curiosity, right? There's somebody paid me what they thought was a compliment, and I think it was. They said, there's a difference between intelligence and intellect, and they said your intellect is like off the charts. And I said, what does that mean about my intelligence? But in my mind, I was like, what does it mean? I'm stupid, but I have this great intellect. And so intellect is I guess the capability to follow your curiosities, right? And to absorb information and then know how to use that and apply that information. That's what intellect is. That's what I learned. I had to look it up. And so for me, after almost 50 years, maybe I've become a little bit more intelligent based on my intellect, if that makes any sense. But I do think that he was trying to give me a compliment. But John, you're touching on something that I think is a lifelong lesson for everyone, and that is, and also Caitlin, you said something about identify those little things, right, in conversations. And I would say, again, probably for the book that I have talked about most on this is The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. Have either of, I think, John, you and I have talked about it. Caitlin, have you read that book or heard of that book?
Yeah, I actually just, I can't say I read it because I listen to books all the time. So I actually listened to it about a year ago. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. This is what we're talking about. It's, Santiago's the character, and, he's looking for treasure underneath the pyramids and stuff. And the things that happen would not happen if he had stayed put and not moved forward into the unknown. It's a beautiful book. I think they just passed 25 or maybe even 30-year anniversary. And my best friend in the world, Chris Brown, up in New Haven, told me he reads like a book a week. It's crazy. And that was like the first book recommendation that he said. He goes, you gotta read that, because I was waffling whether or not to move away from my hometown and very comfortable world of Connecticut. And I was thinking about moving, and I eventually moved down to Orlando at a very young age. And so, yeah, into the unknown. So we can finish up here, y'all. I wanted to thank you both. And Caitlin, thank you so much for, you know what? I would tell you that I have invited a lot of, very close friends and colleagues. I say, hey, if you just want to come on and chat and talk, about whatever you're working on, if you got a new company or whatever, I'm going to give them a shout out right now and say, listen, I asked Caitlin about 4 hours ago if she wanted to join this show today. And she was like, sure, whatever, man. You acted like it was not anxiety ridden, but I know that feeling. It's like when someone asks you to do something, like, wait, we're going to be recorded, we're going to be live, like, what are you talking? So I know all those questions come in, and so I wanted to recognize that in you that embraced something that you were completely unaware of into the unknown. You know me well enough that I don't have like these devil horns to be like, yeah. But you never know. And so
Yeah.
I want to recognize that and in you that you embrace this. And so it's the topic of today, and the fact that you were like, sure, I'll jump into the unknown with you. So
Perfect.
wonderful examples, and you're perfect guest. And thank you so much for sharing all those
Thanks.
nuggets. And John, man, you are always welcome back here. You are a big inspiration to our Hospiamo company and also this podcast. So thank you to my bro. Thanks for jumping on here, bro. He's happy for him. He's getting busier and busier in his new business. So to everyone watching and listening, thank you so much for visiting. If you want to get a hold of any of us, you're welcome to email me at adam@hospiamo.com. Caitlin, it's Caitlin at conclavecreative.com, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
John@hospiamo.com. Most of the people that listen know my text, my number, so you can call me. And if you want to talk to Caitlin, you want to talk to John, just let me know and I'll put you in contact with them. So I'm really excited about today's show. This is really good. It made me feel comfortable about some of the things that I got to do tomorrow that I wasn't too excited about. So yeah, we will end it here after
Caitlin,
a
it was
little
a
over an
pleasure.
hour.
You too.
Thank you both very, very, very much.
Right.
And good luck to you, Caitlin. You're going to nail
Thank
it.
you so much.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thanks again. Bye now.
Bye, y'all.